We're going to talk about price, we're going to talk about compatibilities, software as well as hardware compatibilities. We're going to talk about label compatibilities, which gets really confusing for people. Overall design, reliability, manufacturer warranties. We're going to talk about print quality. We're going to talk about customer support. Hopefully this information will help you to easily decide which printer is better for you. How's it going, everybody? My name's Eric, and in this video we have a comparison, a battle of the printers, the Dymo 4XL versus the Rollo. Before we get into the specifics of the printers, I would kindly ask, if you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Both of these are thermal printers. They both can print a little over a 4-inch width, and they both use heat, not toner, don't use ink. They're very comparable in the consumer ship from home, eBay, Amazon class. They aren't really commercial printers due to language capabilities and customization. If you're looking for more of a commercial printer where you need customization of barcode features, you're really gonna wanna turn to Zebra. But in this video, we are going over these guys, and I don't want to make you watch the whole video for a recommendation if that's just what you're looking for. People want the short, fast answer, and I'm gonna give it to you right in the beginning of the video. If you are trying to decide between this and this, I would go with the Rollo. The reasons will be in the video. I will also put a breakdown in the description so you don't have to watch the entire long-winded video. There are some benefits to the 4XL, which we will go over later, but all around price, value, reliability, compatibility, label price, and availability, we're gonna go with the Rollo. But maybe that isn't even what you're looking for. If you're looking for something a little bit cheaper than both of them with mobile Bluetooth capabilities, you might wanna check this printer out. If you have a Google Chromebook, I'm sorry, neither the Rollo or the Dymo 4XL are compatible with Chromebook. You might wanna check out printers like these. Maybe all you are going to be printing are stamps or address labels, and you don't even need a 4-inch wide label printer. You could save yourself some money by getting a more narrow format label printer like this. Or if you want something that you can print from your computer, iOS device, your mobile phone, your iPhone, whatever, and you want it networked on your home so everyone can use it, you might want to look at something like this. And I will put more information about those products in the description with specific compatibilities and applications that might work for your business that are neither a Rollo or a Dymo 4XL. But those printers are going to be for another video. This is specifically comparing the Dymo 4XL and the Rollo, and that's what we're gonna get into right now. So the first thing I wanna talk about between the Dymo 4XL and the Rollo is the price. It's a giant barrier to entry for most people. Can get into the hundreds of dollar range, especially after buying the printer label holder, the labels. You're probably gonna be clearing at least $200 on either of these printers. The Rollo itself is available refurbished whenever it's in stock on Amazon for $149, and Rollo sells it themselves for $179 consistently year-round. Unless they sell out, then the price goes up because it goes to the next seller. That's just how Amazon works. But because the way this printer is designed, you might want to get a roll holder behind it. Those are like 20 bucks from Rollo. Or you can make your own roll holder with a box and a chopstick like I did. Or if you buy the fan fold labels, which are just like a big square pile of labels, you don't need a roll holder because they just kind of sit behind the printer. Now the price of the Dymo 4XL does fluctuate throughout the entire year. The low end of the price is normally around $150, and the high end of the price spectrum climbs up to around $270-ish. Right now on Amazon, this is $243.99. But again, the price fluctuates, so it might not be that when you click on the link and see that it's higher or lower. It's just worth mentioning. When it comes to price, Rollo takes the cake because they're consistent with their pricing, and it usually is lower than the Dymo 4XL. Next, we're just gonna talk about design of the printers, because as you can see, one's a square and one's a little bit more rounded clamshell design versus a sausagey design. Totally different designing behind it. Personally, I like the design of the 4XL better. It's not just this 4XL, it's just this type of thermal printer where it contains the labels inside of it rather than having to have them behind it, because that takes up a handprint of space on your desk. The Dymo uses a spool design where you have to take off the spool and open the spool and load the labels correctly. make sure the spool is really tight, reinstall the spool. Then you feed the labels through here and they come out the front here. So it has to kind of be weaved in there. If you ever get a label jam or they're not loaded correctly, it's gonna give you problems. And to fix those problems, you have to pop the front plastic off and move this lever, and the print head's right there if you have to clean it, which is kind of awkward. And there's sensors in here that are hard to clean if you get adhesive on it. Sometimes you can't even clean it. It becomes a mess if you get a jam. Now, the way that the Rollo is designed, the labels sit behind it, which I'm not a fan of, but that's personal preference. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm strictly personal preference here. But I would rather not have this, how big this is on my desk, because I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't have a lot of counter space. I'd rather something be small, not take up a lot of counter space, rather than having that, you know? But the Rollo does make it easier. If you ever were to get a jam, you just have to flick this little lever here, open it up. You can remove the jam or whatever wasn't loaded correctly. And if you ever get adhesive on the print head, you can clean the print head right there very easily. Although I'm not a big fan of the sausage labels going behind it, the ease of fixing a jam and the ability to clean the print head is a lot better on the Rollo compared to the Dymo. So now we're gonna go over something very, very interesting, and that is compatibilities. When it comes to thermal printing, I always get this question: will it work with eBay? Will it work with Amazon? Will it work with Etsy? Will it work with Shopify? Will it work with PayPal, whatever? And the answer, it really is, they both will work with all of the platforms that support 4x6 printing. The platforms themselves do not support specific printers. They support specific printing format. So if they can format a PDF in 4x6 format, then they will support both of these printers. If they don't, they will support neither of these printers. So the fact that both of the companies advertise, we work with eBay, we work with Etsy, we work with Shopify or Shippo or whatever, in that sense, the printers are equal compatibility-wise with all the platforms under the sun that can print 4x6. It's an equivalence between these two printers when it comes to compatibilities within the platforms themselves. And when it comes to hardware compatibility, these guys are equal. They both are USB only. So you see that little USB port in the back there? You see that little USB port in the back there? You see that power port? Same style of data port, same compatibility. They will both work with Windows. They will both work with Mac. They will both work with Linux according to their websites. They will not work with Google Chrome, and they will not work with Android or iOS. Hardware compatibilities with these guys are the same. Now we're going to talk about labels, the types of labels you have to use with each printer, because this is a huge selling point for the Rollo that their company does take advantage of. I took the Dymo labels out of the printer. As you can see, right here, there is a little punch notch. And that notch is how the Dymo senses where the label starts and where the label ends. That notch hole must be placed on the left side of the printer. It ends up hitting a sensor in here that breaks a laser and lets the printer know this is where a label starts, this is where a label ends. Dymo wants you to buy the labels from them, which is going to be at a higher cost than a third-party label that has the notch. They even go as far as saying that it is not covered by malfunction in the printer or damage caused by non-Dymo labels. So they want to sell you their labels, and their labels are not cheap. The Dymo branded labels in 1 roll quantity on Amazon will cost you about 11 cents a label, which is actually really expensive and ridiculous, because you can get some third-party labels in bulk quantity that brings that cost down to 2 cents a label, which is less than 5 times what you pay for the Dymo branded labels. And if you do break your Dymo printer by using third-party labels, they will not cover damage or replacement. However, with the Rollo, they use 2 sensors in here that recognize the gap in the labels that can read between paper and then the label, I think because the label is a little bit thinner, and it recognizes the difference between label lengths just by having a gap in the paper. You can use other labels that don't have that punch or notch. You can use the Dymo labels that do have the punch or notch. You can use any 4x6 labels with the Rollo printer because it uses a non-proprietary design that uses a label sensor that doesn't look for a punch. That is a huge selling point that Rollo uses when marketing their printer, because compatibility with labels is super confusing for people, and they make it really easy by just saying it works with all the labels, which is a true claim. And because the labels are non-proprietary, they're a lot cheaper or free even in cases if you order them from UPS or FedEx.com. We're gonna touch on reliability. Just from anecdotally, I've used both printers and I have had jams on the Dymo. I've had wasted labels on the Dymo, haven't really had any of that on the Rollo, just because of some of the design features and flaws that I pointed out earlier in the video. And that lines up with a lot of things I've heard from people on Instagram and on YouTube from both of the printers. The Dymo is overall less reliable than the Rollo, which makes sense because of the way they're designed with the sensors and how you can clean the print head, all that stuff. So now we're gonna talk about warranties. Product warranties, because there is a difference in product warranties between the Dymo and the Rollo. Rollo gives a 1-year warranty on their product, which is a peace of mind for some people if it has a freak accident, manufacturing flaw. I don't know why it would just stop working. Thermal printing's pretty simple and reliable and should work for 5 to 10 years pretty problem-free. But if warranty is important to you, know that if you have a problem for 12 months, you can reach out to Rollo and they will probably fix or replace it for you, which is definitely something built into that price of $179.99. And when it comes to Dymo 4XL, they sort of win the warranty game because they offer a 2-year warranty. The 2-year warranty is not going to be honored if you're using third-party labels. I don't really know how they would know that you're using third-party labels, but do keep that in mind. Just so you know, 2 years on the Dymo, 1 year on the Rollo. So technically the Dymo wins when it comes to warranty. Customer support. It's very, very important to people that are not tech savvy. If you need a step-by-step person on the phone or on the computer chatting with you, walking you through how to install it or walking you through a problem, I would say Rollo has way better customer support than Dymo, from my own personal experience as well as anecdotal evidence from others on Instagram and YouTube. People have almost always had trouble with Dymo customer support and have always praised Rollo support. If customer support is something that you are interested in, the Rollo definitely wins in the customer support realm. Now we're gonna talk about print quality. And this can be kind of confusing for people as well, because they might think all thermal printers are created equally and print the same quality, which isn't true. The Dymo 4XL is a 300 DPI printer, while the Rollo is a 203 DPI printer, which has to do with picture quality, resolution when you're printing, which is a noticeable difference when you're printing small text and images, and it's not as much of a noticeable difference when you're just printing shipping labels. The 300 DPI on the Dymo 4XL is going to be crisper just because it is a higher resolution print in comparison to the Rollo 203 DPI printer. To the naked eye, there might not be much of a difference, but when you get into looking at the 3D barcodes up here at the top, or if you're printing something that is non-postage related and you need images or small text, in that case, you're gonna wanna go with the 300 DPI printer. But in most cases, it's not going to make a difference because postage minimum requirements is 203 DPI anyways. So it's worth mentioning, and it's quite surprising that the Dymo actually beats the Rollo when it comes to resolution and print quality. One more thing that Dymo beats Rollo on, and that is very, very specific to certain uses, is that they come with their own software package and they are supported by some third-party softwares that I don't know if Rollo is supported with yet for in-browser printing. And what I mean by that is when you buy the Dymo, you install it through Dymo Label Writer software, and that software you can use to print custom address labels, you can use to print messages or fragile stickers or whatever you want to print using the label software. And I know it's a small percentage of the population that uses that actual software, but I did have a comment on YouTube which brought to my attention that that software might meet somebody's needs or knowledge more so than the Rollo. I did want to throw that in this video. If you already know how to use the Label Writer software and that's what you need, and your Dymo 4XL has worked well for 8 years and hasn't broke, by all means, get a replacement Dymo 4XL, continue to use that software so you don't have to learn a new software. Software like stamps.com or Inventory Lab, I'm not 100% sure on if they support the Rollo. in browser for printing. Like I've heard in the past that Inventory Lab is very specific with types of printers that you can use with it. If you are using a third-party software for listing on Amazon or any other application, check with that software company first and ask if there's printer compatibility issues, or check their FAQs and look for recommended printers by them. And some might recommend the Dymo 4XL because that's how they have their software programmed. The Rollo does not come with any label writing software to make address labels. You could use some third-party software somewhere. Nothing native from Rollo. It's totally dependent on your personal use. It's probably only a small percentage of people that actually care about that software, but it is still worth mentioning in a comprehensive review comparison video. All of those things being said, I would recommend between the two of these printers, the Rollo, because of reliability, price, label compatibility, customer support, how easy it is to clean. If there are some needs that you might be interested in that you heard in this video, I have more information about other printers in the description. I will have more comparison videos coming out. Let me know if you want two specific printers compared in the comments. Thank you guys so much again for watching. If you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.